Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Jigowatts. I am Peter, that is Connor, and this is our weekly movie news show in which we work through the movie news of the week. We also look at a bunch of trailers from the week, pick our favourite one of those. We'll fill you in on movie reviews that went up on the channel or coming up in the following week if we happen to know what they are, and just sort of general updates like that. We also tell you about any movies we watched that weren't for review purposes at the end of the show. Which I can already spoil from me is a big fat zero, because I watched a lot of movies this week, but every single one of them was for a review of some kind.
Yeah, no, I've got quite a lot. I'm in a phase of not being able to get any sleep. I'm getting like 2-3 hours a night at the moment, and
Oofed.
yeah, so when I'm not sleeping, I'm just kind of sticking a movie on, hoping I fall asleep in it, and I'm not, so I'm just getting through quite a lot.
Oh, I'm oddly having the opposite thing, where I'm sleeping long periods and then feeling sleepy because I slept too long.
I wish. I'm shattered right now.
First world problems.
Yeah, it is.
So that's what's coming up on the show, and obviously we start with box office, which we are going to start with as per usual. So we've got into this little habit of making some guesses. So we have some guesses from last week. We guessed amounts for Pacific Rim Uprising, Black Panther, and Tomb Raider. So we're going to check and see how we did on those and see where things came in domestically last weekend. Right?
This is intriguing because I A, have no idea what any of them have actually done this week, and B, I can't remember for the life of me what I guessed.
Well, luckily I've got it noted down. Also, worth mentioning right at the top of the show here, we are recording this a day earlier than usual. So if there's any big news on the Friday, don't worry, it'll be in next week's episode. But we had to record a day early. It's funny because I normally we record this on a Friday, and then this one doesn't usually go up until the early Sunday, because the TV one goes up early Saturday. And I'm fine with that because there doesn't tend to be a lot of news on the Saturday, so it doesn't really feel like it's dated by the time it gets to Sunday. Whereas this will probably go up on Saturday now, but there still may be some juicy stuff on the Friday that will be missing from this, but there's nothing we can do about it, so just bear with us.
Blame Netflix.
Blame Netflix, basically, yeah. So let me just, I've got my two things up. Right. We did guess that Pacific Rim Uprising was number one. We both said that would be number one. Yeah. Both of us had that the highest. And you guessed $40 million. I guessed 29 million. The amount was 28.1.
Okay.
So I'll take that victory. That was actually really close.
It is. I imagine that's a relatively disappointing opening, given that it's considerably lower than the first.
Well, I mean, the first one already had a fairly disappointing opening, so
right.
I don't think they were expecting a big opening. I think they were going for the foreign box office. That's what they were really wanting.
Possibly, yeah.
Which is interesting because obviously you see, 28 million opening weekend. That ain't really good. Like, is it screwed? Like, because me and Matt both enjoyed the film, so we would like another one, but it doesn't seem like it's likely at that point. However, it did open to 65 million in China, and worldwide, despite the fact that it's only made 34 million domestically, worldwide is at 157 million. Which ain't too shit, because a lot of the numbers from the other countries do sometimes take a little bit longer to come through. Because now, when you look at Box Office Mojo's numbers for China, it's still just 64 point something. It's still just the opening weekend, even though it's, obviously there's been another 4 days since then.
That ain't too shabby, though.
It ain't terrible. The first one made 300 and something. If it can cross 300 again, with the power of the foreign box office,
it's probably safe again.
Yeah, we could see a third one. It is possible. Here's hoping, because I'd enjoy it. So, but hey, so that is 157 million worldwide so far. Now, our guesses next. We had Black Panther. At least out of the three we guessed at number 2. I guessed 17 million. You guessed 19 million. The exact amount was 17 million. So
really, okay.
Yeah, 17 million and 99,000. So yeah, it's 17.1 if you're rounding up. So
cool. That one I know we were so close. It was like, well, I think I just said, I'll say something a little bit higher to be different, because I don't want to be exact. That's boring.
So yeah, even if you're dead on with Tomb Raider, I'm taking the victory this week. Quite pleased. We had Tomb Raider out of the 3. We had that at number 3, and I think I was hoping it would be number 3, because I don't think it deserves to be completely tanking. However, it's actually number 5.
Oh, what's in above it though?
I guess. Well, yeah, above it we've got I Can Only Imagine. which held from number 3 last week with 13 million. Number 4 is Sherlock Gnomes, unfortunately, with 10.6 million. For Tomb Raider, I guessed 9 million, you guessed 11 million, and the amount is 10.1, which I guess is weighed slightly towards you.
So technically, yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very slightly.
I got the other 2 though, so I'm taking the victory. But so
yeah, that's fine.
So that's unfortunate. But hey, funnily enough though, that is also doing quite well internationally, away from domestic, because
I haven't seen it yet, but good. I want it to be good.
Yeah, it made like 130 internationally its first weekend. So now worldwide is 214, which is not terrible. That's starting to get towards like.
I think we said if it can get towards the 300 point over its life, it should be safe enough.
And it could do that. It still could. I mean, it doesn't look like a disaster anymore. I think the domestic gross looked really bad on its own.
Yeah.
The worldwide gross is actually not completely terrible. So it could actually scrape up to being decent overall, so it's a lot more promising than it was before. Just for the record, actually, Black Panther, we never mentioned the worldwide for that. Now, the cumulative gross. That is at 1,245,000,000.
Nice. And on Black Panther, it's broken some more records this week, because domestically it's now the highest grossing superhero movie.
Oh, there you go.
So, that's good for it.
Yeah, so Black Panther's still breaking records. So that's his second. Oh, actually, that's his first weekend at not number 1. That's Pacific Rim is the one that beat it finally. Now, I'm not going to give that too much credit. That just happened to be 6 weeks later. So,
it just happened to come in at the right time, didn't it?
This is the thing. Each week it's easier for something to beat it. So almost anything would have probably done it this week, but Pacific Rim happened to get the crown. So there you go. Just to round out the top 10 then, number 6 is A Wrinkle in Time with 8 million, number 7 is Love, Simon, number 8 is Paul, Apostle of Christ, so we had a
time for Easter.
faith movie, and then we had Game Night at number 9 and Midnight Sun at number 10. Those ranged from 8 to 4 million, those last 5 entries.
I saw Midnight Sun is getting slammed in reviews. I mentioned that because I believe we covered the trailer.
Did we? I don't remember it.
I think we did. That's the one where it's Bella Thorne. She can't go outside in the day. She has some condition. She can't go out in the daylight. We definitely covered the trailer.
This is not ringing the bell.
Yeah, no, we definitely covered it.
This is not even remotely.
Bella Thorne, the girl from The Babysitter, the redhead one.
Yeah, well, I know who she is now, but it's not ringing a bell for this movie.
That's fair. Yeah.
Oh well, so that's the box office. But we should make some guesses, shouldn't we? For
what we got this week?
Let me have a look at the release schedule. So we're looking, obviously, Ready Player One is the big one. That actually released before Friday. Not seen it yet myself. I will be though, because me and Matt will be reviewing it. As far as other big releases, there's a Tyler Perry movie, God's Not Dead: A Light in Darkness, which I believe that's a series. I'm pretty sure God's Not Dead is that's like the third or fourth of those movies.
I mean, it is Easter weekend, right? So.
Is it? That's news to me.
Yeah, this Sunday is Easter.
I'm clearly not paying attention. Yeah, I think it's just Ready Player One is what we're guessing for new movie wise.
Now, obviously, you mentioned there it is a bit early, and you're looking at this there. Is there a number there already attached?
Oh no, I've not clicked on the movie's profile.
I just want to make sure we're on a level playing ground.
I'm just looking at the schedule for what's coming out the weekend. There's no.
Okay, that's cool.
No numbers or anything like that. So. What's it worth guessing for? I think we can just get Tomb Raider off the guessing game now. I think that's low enough that it's not worth
who cares?
Doing. I do think we do Pacific Rim second weekend though.
Yeah, what was it again?
28 point something.
Okay. I'm calling that one. I can call that one, I think, quicker than Ready Player One.
Alright, go for it.
I'll put that at 13.
I was going to guess about that, you prick. Fine, I'll say 12.
Alright, well, you can go first on Ready Player One then.
Alright, Ready Player One. This is rough. The only thing I have in terms of like an advantage, which I will tell you as well, is that it's probably going to be Spielberg's biggest opening weekend in 10 years, which doesn't really tell us much.
Yeah, I don't know what the other opening weekends have been for the last decade.
Not great.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So, I don't think it's going to be huge. I think it'll do relatively well, but not huge. I'm going to guess 55 million.
So I was thinking around that sort of range because again, in the same way, I think it's going to be pretty big based on Spielberg and just
here's the thing
nostalgia factor for a lot of the things in the trailer.
This is easily the most in the dark guess we've made so far because most of the other things like it's a Marvel movie or it's a this or it's that, it's a sequel to this thing,
or it's a reboot. There's things that we can kind of go with.
Yeah, this is just
A Wrinkle in Time was a stab in the dark as well.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You got that way wrong. So
I did. But to be fair, so did most other people. That was expected to do a lot better than it did.
Yeah, but no, I think I'll go with a conservative 55 as my guess.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking around that ballpark. I don't really want to go higher. Because I don't know, I'm not feeling it to be super high. I'll go down to 50.
Okay, you're going lower. Because I don't think I can't see this being 100 million plus. I just can't see it. I don't think it's big enough.
I'll be shocked if it gets above 80, like genuinely.
And in a week's time, we might be eating our words, but that's.
I don't think it's impossible. As I said, I'll be very shocked, and come back next week and see me shocked. I'm sure, but
yeah, and
it could happen.
I was forgetting to write those down, so I'm just doing that before we move on because we'll need those next week.
Yep.
So let me just type in Ready Player, and
I think it'll be interesting to see over the year, whatever, however long we're doing this guessing, over blockbuster season especially, at least.
Yeah.
It'll be to see if we kind of refine our guesses a little bit more, because at the minute, these ones are kind of just stabs in the dark. We're going, maybe around that. And then once we're looking at this every week, we can kind of see the patterns a bit more, maybe. Make a bit more informed guesses.
Actually, here's something we could do. We've made our guesses. We could see what it's tracking at now.
That's true. Guesses have been made.
Yeah, guesses have made. They're locked in, right? They're tight. They're locked.
Yeah. All right. We can see tracking and then firm figures next week.
Ready Player One. I don't actually know where to go for that specifically.
Are we way off?
If these prove accurate, you'll be taking the point.
Oh. Okay.
It's tracking right now, according to the Variety, between 38 and 42.
Okay.
So we may be in just a little tie.
I will say, I find tracking often undervalues. If it ends up being a good movie.
Honestly, I'm not. If it ends up being 42, I think 55 is a reasonable guess.
I agree. Like I said, that ballpark was my first thought as well. So we were in the same mindset on it.
Yeah. All right. There we go. We can wrap up box office then and move on to the news, starting with some comic book stuff, as we typically do.
Yes. Got some big stuff this week, right?
Well, if I'd call it big, but.
Interesting then.
Okay, do you like delays?
Yeah, in this case, I think it's interesting.
I've got delays for you. So X-Men: Dark Phoenix has been delayed. It was meant to be coming out November 2nd this year. It is now coming out February 14th, Valentine's Day,
Yes.
next year, 2019. So that's been pushed back 4 months. And also, perhaps more interestingly, because it was already delayed by an extreme amount. Because I think the Dark Phoenix one is not that weird. It's like we're this far out. 4 months is not that strange.
I think it's interesting though that they're targeting the Valentine slot with it, because obviously that worked out really well for Deadpool.
Oh sure, I don't think they're targeting that. I think that's just the next reasonable time they can have it ready for.
Maybe, but I mean, you know what you're getting on the Valentine's Day slot is typically, what's there. There's usually a certain type of movie that comes out that week. I think the last few years has been the 50 Shades movies. So, I can see when studios put things there. I'm like, okay, why this movie?
Yeah, but there's more reasons. They didn't just push it back for the date. Like
No, no.
there's reasons. I've got reasons here. But the other one I think more interesting though is because New Mutants was about to come out. It was 3 months from release in January because it was meant to come out in April, and they pushed it back all the way to February 22nd next year.
Yeah, we should have been getting this in about 2 weeks.
And its original date, yeah. But it had been pushed back to February 2019, and now it's been pushed back again all the way to August 2nd, 2019. Because this was meant to be before Dark Phoenix.
Yes.
And, I mean, I guess it wasn't when it first got pushed back, but now it's really not anywhere near in front of it.
I know, yeah. I'm putting money on this. This gets pushed again. They push it to October.
Sure.
I'm just saying, it's another couple of months.
I'll be honest, when you said, I'm going to be honest here, and I thought, oh, we get a hot take, and then it was like, oh, that's just that's a mildly warm.
Well, no. I thought
take.
about going really hot. Like, no, it's just never going to happen, which is my other potential. But I think they're investing too much into it now.
Yeah, they've invested far too much into it, yeah. So that's coming now, August 2019. So now there's no X-Men movies other than Deadpool this year. There was meant to be 3, and now there's only just Deadpool.
Yeah.
Funny how that happens. Anyway, so yeah, so they've pushed these back, and yeah, so they're saying there's unconfirmed reports of some possible reasons to why this happened. Citing sources with knowledge of the situation, Collider's Adam Shitwood, probably Chitwood. He'd probably be really embarrassed to say his name Shitwood.
Yeah,
but Chitwood sounds weird though.
It does, but I think you choose to make it say that way.
Yeah,
when someone reads, it's like, no, it's Chitwood.
Anyway, so we're getting reshoots on both movies. That's what's happening, right? New Mutants was previously delayed, and we were told at the time it's for reshoots to add at least one new character. But Collider's new report indicates that the issues seem to be even larger than that. Fox reportedly asked at least 50% of the movie to be reshot, adding new characters to appear not just as cameos, but as part of the principal cast throughout the entire film. Apparently this has led to the off-cited creative differences with co-writer-director Josh Boone, although he's still attached to the film as of now.
I think this is interesting, especially that it's taken them that long for the... I mean, look at Han Solo. We were expecting that to be delayed, but they didn't. Justice League, that came out on time.
Well, yeah.
I'm just talking about things with extensive reshoots.
No, but here's the thing.
The habit of hitting the date.
Yeah, well, that's the thing though. They give us a reason for Dark Phoenix, but not specifically this one. But it might be some of the same reasons as to why this is taking so long. But honestly,
that was I did see this earlier in the week, and the report was saying for New Mutants specifically, they were saying that the reshoots just aren't done, and they want to redo, and they're going to take longer.
Well, to me, that just says this is basically rewriting the thing from scratch, almost.
Yeah.
Maybe writing it so they can use some of the footage they've already done, but that's about it.
Yeah.
This is a long enough delay that they're starting from scratch, essentially, again. They're keeping the cast, of course. They're keeping some of the people involved, but...
and I wouldn't be surprised if the reason it's such a delay as well as their basic stand from scratch is rescheduling everyone. Because obviously everyone will have gone off and done all the different projects. So it's like, okay, when's everyone available again? Well,
funny you say that, because Dark Phoenix, the reason why it's been delayed is the reshoots aren't as extensive as New Mutants is. It's not as much. However, the reasons why it had to be delayed by 4 months is because most of the talent involved, many of whom are actually, Jennifer Lawrence is a bit of an A-lister and so on. Like, there's those people who are actually notable actors who have got a lot of other projects. They're apparently booked all the way up to August or September this year, a lot of them. So they can't even start doing the reshoots until, October time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking, Sophie Turner, of course, this is a Jean Grey movie, presumably.
Yes.
Yeah, and she's doing Game of Thrones till about then, filming.
Yeah, so basically with Dark Phoenix, they could, the actor schedules aside, it sounds like they could get this out in time still with the reshoots, but they just can't start reshooting anything until October, which is a month before the release date. So I think I think this one's much more normal. It's just, we've got reshoots, but everyone's busy until this month, so we can't do it till then.
It's unfortunate, but it's the reality.
It does feel like the X-Men section of Fox though is kind of in a shambles right now though, because it's really bad publicity when you have to go back and do this many reshoots. It's really bad publicity when you have to move a movie twice. It's really bad when you have to do two movies at the same time with the exact same news almost. All of it just feels murky.
What's worse on top of this is we pay attention to this. We hear about delays because we're kind of into that sort of stuff. And yeah, we pay attention to the news in general, especially the comic book stuff. New Mutants, that had trailers, that had marketing to the just to the general public. Like,
that's why I say the Dark Phoenix one's not that weird. It's not that bizarre this far out to have a few months of a delay. It's not really. It's almost not news. I mean, it's news because it's a movie news show, and we'll talk about these things. But it's not news.
Not a big deal, yeah.
New Mutants had a trailer and was about to come out. This happened. I think was it the G.I. Joe sequel it happened to a few years ago.
Maybe. I don't give a shit about G.I. Joe, so
I think it was. I think not only was there trailers saying it was out in like a month, there was also toys in stores. Like they'd already had all the merchandise out, and then they pushed it by like 7 months for some reason. So it did happen once before. That was the example I could think of when New Mutants popped up. But so it looks bad, right? I mean, both of them might end up being fine. Both of them might end up being decent movies or good movies even. It just looks bad.
I think it's funny as well. This is coming off them being in a relatively strong place between Logan and I wasn't huge on Apocalypse, but people seemed it was pretty accepted. You know, it was, oh yeah, it's pretty good for the most part.
It wasn't really that accepted. It was seen as pretty weak.
Really? So most people that I saw seem to think it was like, yeah, it's all right.
No, most people were using it as proof that the curse of the third movie is still a thing because it was the third one in the new series.
Okay, fair. All the people I was seeing said, yeah, it's the weakest of the three, but it's not like a bad movie. No, it's not to the levels of, Last Stand.
I didn't dislike it as much as some people did. I actually I thought it was fine. Like, if anything, I thought it may have been better than Days of Future Past because I think Days of Future Past is overrated.
That'd be silly.
Days of Future Past is overrated.
No, I'm not disputing that. But Apocalypse being better than Days of Future Past is just silly talk.
Yeah, neither of them are close to First Class. First Class is the best X-Men movie.
In terms of the core X-Men movies, sure.
No, I'm not counting Logan. That's a different ball game.
Okay,
different ball game. But so yeah, delays happening. That's the thing, and that went on longer than I was expecting. That's your fault.
Yeah, well, big delays. Big delays, big news, big talk.
Here's something interesting. So they've added some more cast members to Captain Marvel. Yeah,
this is interesting.
And they're all returning faces because if you don't remember, Captain Marvel is notable because it is being set in the 90s. It's kind of a period piece in a weird way. A relatively recent period, but a period piece all the same. And of course, we knew Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury with both eyes was going to be in here. We might even see him lose his eye. Who knows? But other people from previous things that are going to be in here, probably the most exciting one for me, I think, is Clark Gregg as Agent Coulson is going to be in Captain Marvel pre-death.
Yes.
So, which is, I mean,
just be a lowly SHIELD agent.
Yeah, he may not even be as high ranking as he was when we saw him in the movies eventually. We also have Ronan the Accuser's back, Lee Pace, as is Jimon Hunzo, who is the the Who guy. Who, of course, I know him from Gladiator, first of all. As soon as I saw him in that movie, I was like, it's him from Gladiator.
No, that's fair. But now he's the Who guy, right?
Now he's the Who guy, yeah. From Guardians. So, yeah, so the fact that we're getting Ronan the Accuser, with, like, first of all, even though he wasn't the best villain ever, and, by Marvel standards, that's not saying anything, it's still kind of nice to have the continuity of one of them being around, like,
it is,
in a different movie.
And also, it tells me a bit more about what to expect from this movie. So I can actually expect, okay, there's going to be some cosmic elements. Properly in.
And I think there always was going to be, like, Captain Marvel's kind of ingrained with it.
It is, but now I can kind of see the direction they're going a little bit more. Because up till now, details have been pretty vague about this movie.
But clearly there's also Earth elements, because I don't see Coulson...
Yeah, we've got some full-on SHIELD elements if we're getting Fury and Coulson.
Because I'm fairly certain that the first time Coulson's in space is something we saw in the show not too long ago.
Yes.
The reaction,
Yeah, I would hope so. I hate... do you know what the problem is, though? The movie side of things completely disrespect the TV side of things. So if they could try and retcon it, and I will hate it for that if they do.
I'm not going down this rabbit hole. I'll just agree and move on.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't want to have that debate again because we like Shield more than most of the movies at this point, and I don't want to have the debate. So that's the comic book news. So there wasn't a whole ton of it this week. Just a couple of things, just delays and some juicy casting details for Captain
Quite
Marvel.
Interesting casting though, like as far as casting goes.
It's genuinely interesting, I think, to bring some people back from Guardians because it does tell you a bit more about the movie. Coulson's just exciting because we like Coulson from the show, and so. General news. So first up, I almost regret putting this in now because I want to not have a negative discussion, but
I'm worried now.
So Spielberg this week made some comments about movies that came from Netflix. This all happened to coincide with the Cannes Film Festival banning movies from Netflix as participants in their competition. And basically this boiled down to... I'll get the exact quote. He was talking about how he doesn't really feel that Netflix movies should be allowed to be at the Oscars and so on. This is a quote. "I don't believe that films are given token qualifications, and a couple of theatres for less than a week should qualify for Academy Award nominations," he said. "Once you commit to a television format, you're a TV movie. If it's a good show, you deserve an Emmy, but not an Oscar." I fundamentally disagree with this and banning them from Cannes, all of it.
Do you know what? The only part of this I agree with is the sham of the token cinema release.
Oh, sure, yeah. But here's the thing. I disagree with it in a different way than what Spielberg's saying here.
No, I agree, yeah.
I don't think they should have to play in a theatre to be eligible for an award, because I refuse to accept... I mean... Before we get to the whole idea that theatres are, potentially dying eventually, and we're going to, streaming is the future, forgetting all that conversation, I don't care, right? That's irrelevant here.
Yeah.
A movie is not defined by how it is seen.
No.
By how it is screened. That is not what defines what a movie is. And honestly, I like you, Spielberg, but that came off as an old man being very pretentious and not wanting to, change his old ways.
Here's something, right? Indiana Jones. I love it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen it in a cinema. Have you?
No. I've not.
Is that a proper movie? Or is it a TV movie?
Honestly, barring even that, the idea that... Because here's the thing, well, maybe not most, but there's a good chunk, right? A good chunk of Netflix's movies that aren't made for Netflix. They are made independently with financiers making a movie, and then they seek a distributor. That distributor just happens to be Netflix. Therefore, it doesn't go to a theatre. It wasn't made any differently than anything else.
It's funny. The most recent one is something we talked about last week. Is The Titan, which is we covered the trailer before it was a Netflix movie.
Yeah,
and then Netflix picked it up, and it's coming out this week.
Next week, maybe, I don't know. Whatever.
I mean, assuming this goes up. This movie news goes up on Saturday. I think it came out yesterday.
Alright, okay. But the point being is that how does that make it not a movie? How does that make it a TV movie? It doesn't. It's just an archaic way of thinking. It reminds me of certain gamers saying, "Oh, this is not a game because you can't do this in it," or whatever. No, it's still a video game. It doesn't matter if it's not to your taste. This just, it feels elitist. It feels pretentious, and it's no, a movie. A movie is an art form. It's what it is. You can't say it's not a movie because it's not screened in a theatre. Most movies, in fact, for most people, the vast majority of movies they see will not be in the theatre in their life.
Absolutely.
Certainly, anything that was out before you were a certain age, you saw another way.
I mean, even for us, we go to the cinema quite a lot, right? We enjoy going to the cinema.
Yeah.
I have still seen infinitely more movies at home than I have in the cinema.
Yeah, and I'll say this now: if your movie doesn't work at home, then it doesn't work. Period.
Yeah, a cinema can enhance an experience. Absolutely, the big screen, the big sound, that can make a movie better. It can make the experience better. But if it doesn't work on a repeat viewing at home, then it's not a very good movie, is it?
No. So no, I wanted to mention it because I fundamentally disagree with this in every. It feels like they're they're going to kill theaters. We have to like exclude them so that we can like give theaters this prestige so that it'll be around for longer. It feels like a bunch of old people trying to hold on, cling to something they think has been threatened.
Do you know what it reminds me of? The whole, when piracy for music started being a thing, and they really like, no, you can't do that. You got to buy CDs. At the time, and then and they were even against even paid downloads at the time because they were like, no, we need the physical copies. And now it's like, well, I mean, they caught up eventually, but it cost them big, and this might do the same if they're not careful.
I'd actually compare it more to when VHS came about.
Yeah.
In just earlier formats when they always fear something new, and I think what makes this one sting a little bit more is because it's actually the people that I would normally trust to be the ones who have the sense in the industry are still like, no, movies are still important, because Nolan's the same way. Nolan's like, it's all about the theatre.
He hates Netflix, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's against all that stuff. And I get that you really love the theatre going experience, but that does not define what a movie is. And to say that a movie is not eligible for an award, even if it happens to be better than half the things that are eligible, is ridiculous. And a movie is nothing to do with quality. The Room is a film. It's a terrible
it's a shit film, but it is a film.
It is a film.
It's like, because I agree with them. I love the cinema going experience. I will always choose to go to the cinema to see a movie if I can. When one of my favorite movies is it's getting a re-release in the cinema for whatever reason, I will do everything I can to go and see it because it is an inherently better experience, in my opinion. But that doesn't mean it's any better of a movie. It's just a better experience to watch it like that.
So we're moving on because I don't want to keep rambling on about it, but it annoyed me. It pissed me off.
Yeah,
it's disgruntled old men clinging to something from the past because they feel threatened by it.
Yeah. The only thing I will add is it's worth noting that at Cannes they can still play the films. They can still go there and showcase the movies. They just can't. They're not eligible for the awards.
All right, so we will move on to actual movie news then. So first up, speaking of Spielberg, the guy who wrote Ready Player One, what's his face here? Zach Penn. He adapted the book. I got confused there for a second because the novelist who wrote the book was kind of in my face first.
I was going to jump in. I was like, but I don't know if you meant the scriptwriter.
No, Zach Penn, who wrote the script, he is signed on to adapt ROM for Hasbro's AllSpark Pictures. Remember, they've started a studio that's specifically there to develop Hasbro
I recall, yes.
Yeah, called AllSpark, named after, of course, the AllSpark from the Transformer movie.
You do you.
Yeah, ROM. It's short for Read Only Memory. ROM originated as a toy and then a comic book, ROM's Space Knight. Hailing from a utopian society on the planet Galador, Rom is a cyborg who, after defeating the invading dire wraith on his planet, continues to battle on Earth and other planets. So, pretty simple enough concept. Big sci-fi. I mean, honestly, from that, there's nothing I can garner in terms of... It
sounds like it could be fun.
Yeah, it could be. It could, big cyborg saving other planets because he's a hero. Yeah, sure. It
sounds like a potentially fun blockbuster. Or just some mediocre dribble.
But honestly, all we have to go on is a writer. So, I mean, and it's a writer who...
we've not seen the movie yet.
Yeah, I've not seen Ready Player One yet, so I can't comment on the quality. But I'm all for big sci-fi concepts.
Are you familiar with ROM?
No, I literally never heard of it until I read this story.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Moving on, Robert Downey Jr. announced the entire cast for... the movie's doing with Universal, a live-action animation hybrid called The Voyage of Dr. Dolittle, which is coming out April 2019. It's currently shooting at the moment. So we got a bunch of new names for the cast, but there was an image that came out. I actually put the image in my news just so I could see, because it tells you what animals they're all playing, because they're all voicing animals.
Of course.
Outside of him, obviously, Junior's playing Dr. Dolittle himself. So we have Emma Thompson, who is playing a parrot. We have Rami Malek from Mr. Robot playing a gorilla. We have
interesting choice.
We have Craig Robinson playing a mouse.
That's a very interesting choice.
We have Carmen Ejogo playing a lioness. We have Octavia Spencer playing a duck. We have Tom Holland playing a dog. We have Ralph Fiennes playing a tiger. We have Marion Cotillard playing a fox. We have Camille Nanjiani playing an ostrich. That's perfect.
That is perfect.
That is perfect casting. We've got Selena Gomez playing a giraffe. We have John Cena playing a polar bear. And finally, we have Francis de la Tour playing a ginkgo who soars. I don't know what that means. But there you go. That's
quite a cast.
It's a very impressive cast. A nice mix of people who I like from various things. So, no, worth mentioning. So yeah, I wouldn't say I'm excited for this movie, but it's an interesting cast.
I have no attachment to Dr. Dolittle in any way. I don't really care.
I saw the Eddie Murphy movie when it came out as a kid, but that's about it.
I don't think I did. I think I've seen bits of it, but I just no attachment, don't care. But that is quite a cast.
Moving on, Olivia Munn is signed on for the title role of Justine Bateman's feature film directorial debut called Violet. Justin Theroux has also been casted, as is Anthony LaPaglia. So Bateman is producing and directing from her own script. Violet follows a rising film executive who lives, according to the voice played by Theroux, in her head. Until unexpectedly realizing the truth, it's been lying to her about everything. LaPaglia plays her boss, who dilutes her confidence in a way very similar to The Voice. I'm not going to lie, the idea of Justin Theroux playing a voice in someone's head when they're at a high stressful job like a film executive, honestly sounds kind of entertaining to me.
Yeah, I like Theroux. I like Olivia Munn. Yeah.
So yeah, okay. That's the thing. It's called Violet. Just to remind you the name.
Cool.
Next up, Naomi Watts is in negotiations to join Frank Grillo and Mel Gibson in the Joe Carnahan-directed action film called Boss Level. Carnahan is directing the scripts written by the Borey brothers. They say that as if I know who the Borey brothers are. Like, those two that are famous.
Over me.
Yeah. So, Will Sasso's also joining the cast. So, Grillo plays a retired Special Forces veteran trapped in a never-ending loop, resulting in his death every day. And we don't know who Watts is playing. But so it's a Groundhog Day movie, but he's a Special Forces soldier who's dying every day. Do you know what I like about this? Is I like the idea, kind of like how Happy Death Day was the Groundhog Day slasher movie, is that I think the Groundhog Day thing is very versatile. You just have to make sure you give it a completely different type of character and setting every time. Do
you know what the problem is for me on this one?
Mm-hmm.
This is a little bit too similar to what's the Tom Cruise one?
Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like because that's a bit more of a active sci-fi bent to it, but the soldier dying every day.
It depends what he's doing, because Special Forces to me implies it's more like a spy thriller kind of thing.
It sounds more like a grounded mission. Don't get me wrong. But it's not that's it's a bit more similar to that.
It says he's retired though, so I don't think he's on a mission.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
I think it's like bad guys from his past show up at his house or something like that, and it plays it like that. So I think whereas Edge of Tomorrow was a sci-fi kind of like almost anime-esque movie, this is more a disgruntled action hero like Groundhog Day movie.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So I think it's different enough, at least from what I'm reading here. I mean, it could end up.
I hope it is, and I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. It kind of sprung to mind is all.
I like Frank Grillo well enough, and I'm going to call that Mel Gibson's playing the villain. I'm just going to call that right now.
Probably.
So we'll move on. Hunger Games actress Isabella Fuhrman has been tapped in the lead role in Film and Film's indie drama. It's called Tape, along with Tom Bishops. So Deborah Kampmeyer is directing from her own script, so she's writing and directing. It's based on a true story. The film follows a young, ambitious actress, played by Fuhrman, who meets a producer at an open call audition. Taken with her, he invites her to his hotel to discuss another role. What he doesn't know is that another actress is waiting to exact her revenge against him.
Yeah, sounds alright.
Yeah, no, but I think because when I was first reading that, I was like, okay, it sounds like it's very topical, CD, guy asking her back to, let's just talk about another role, and if I might be in my bathrobe, just don't.
Just coincidence,
But the idea that there's like another actress who's got revenge on her mind, like waiting for him,
it makes it more interesting.
This could be like a tense thriller or something, It called it an indie drama, interestingly, in the description. So
yeah, that's what's throwing me because it doesn't sound like it sounds like an indie drama till the last part.
yeah. So I'm curious as to what the way it handles it. What actually happened? Does she like hold them hostage, and it becomes like a quirky hostage movie, or I don't know.
That's true. Did it say what a character was in Hunger Games? I'm trying to picture.
No.
No. Okay, never mind.
I have no idea who that is either. But that's what it said, so I just thought.
Yeah. Just sometimes I'll put the character in brackets.
In case anyone else knows them. So next up, Hugh Jackman is currently potentially, he's in talks to star in a film called Bad Education from I Think We're Alone Now screenwriter Mike Makowski and director Corey Finley, who directed Thoroughbreds, which is about to come out, if I recall correctly. Had an interesting trailer though. So the plot's under wraps, but it'll be based on Makowski's high school experience. So not a lot to go on that one, but Hugh Jackman's, maybe going to be in a movie. So
yeah. If it's based in a high school, he's probably a teacher or something.
Yeah, it sounds like a comedy to me, but I mean that's just a hunch.
If I had to guess, I'd have said a comedy. Yeah, coming of age comedy drama.
Yeah, Bad Education just sounds like a comedy to me. But hey, and next up, Scarlett Johansson is in talks to star in the next film by the director of Thor Ragnarok, Taika Waititi. So he's doing his next thing. It's called Jojo Rabbit. It's for Fox Searchlight. That's the thing. So you hear Waititi and you think, okay, it's going to be a comedy, right? And it still could be, but it doesn't sound like it's got a lot of like it sounds like a more serious film.
No, that's fair. That said, if you told me the premise of Hunt for the Wilder People,
true, that's fair. So Jojo Rabbit is set in World War II. And follows a German boy in Hitler's army who discovers that his mother, played by Johansson, is hiding a Jewish girl in their home. So you tell me where you think the comedy potential is in this.
I will tell you where it is, because I think I've seen an article about this. Assuming I'm not mixing this up with a different film, Taika Waititi himself will be playing a version of Hitler. And it will be a very goofy take on Hitler.
Okay.
Yes, I saw this earlier in the week. And I was I see where the comedy comes from.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
They compared it to a Great Dictator.
Which honestly, I think for this to fly and be okay in the current climate, I think it does have to have some satirical points to it and not just be funny. And I think Great Dictator is actually fantastic. I don't know if you've seen Great Dictator, but
I've seen about 20 minutes of it, and I love what I've seen.
When it gets to the big speech towards the end, that movie just is knocking out some fantastic points. And what's really impressive about it is that it was made in 1941 before they actually knew the full extent of what was happening.
It is impressive, isn't it?
But it's actually nailing the points so goddamn well. It is insane. Really, really good. If you're at classic cinema, recommend that. It
is on my list to get to properly.
But yeah. But okay, so it's called Jojo Rabbit. So interesting stuff. But that does take us on to trailers.
Ooh, exciting.
So first up for the trailers this week, arguably the highest profile is The House with a Clock in Its Walls. As always, of course, the links to all the trailers that we're talking about here are in the description. So this is an Eli Roth movie. A little bit different from his usual fare though, in that it's more of a children's adventure horror story than an actual horror movie.
Yeah.
It's a Jack Black movie, and I will admit, when I was like seeing him go around this house and like hiding these monsters in the closets, I was like, this feels like it's like a spiritual thing to Goosebumps. It just feels like he's doing Goosebumps again.
It does. We're still due a sequel to that, right?
Oh yeah, Goosebumps 2 is the thing. It's happening.
Good. I like the first one.
It was alright. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was fine.
I have a very strong attachment to Goosebumps, admittedly. So just there was all the monsters in that one. I was like, yeah, it was hitting me.
I didn't recognise it. I think I read one Goosebumps because a kid.
I think I read about all of them up to a certain point.
Because there was a Goosebumps TV show, but I actually watched a lot of Are You Afraid of the Dark? That was the horror kids anthology show that I watched a lot of. So if we get like a reboot of that at some point,
I have very fond memories of being young and being told go to sleep, but instead getting a torch and sitting under the bed reading the Goosebumps. I
had a bunch of the books that I never got around to reading because I liked the idea of them. I just never sat down and read them because
it was my introduction to horror in the sense.
I have this thing where there's lots of books that I would like to read, and I always get them in the intention of doing so, and then it just never happens.
You just never be asked.
Yeah. because I don't know.
Time.
Comics are prettier. I guess is my thing. I like visual storytelling. I guess is what I'm saying. But anyway, so yeah, I'm not familiar if this is based on something. I'm not sure if it is. It feels like it is.
I believe it is. I'm just reading the description. Yeah, based on the beloved children's classic.
Yeah, never heard of it. I have to admit.
Me either.
It looks honestly, it looks exactly what I'd expect it to look like, given the premise. I mean, admittedly, Eli Roth's like a bit of a wild card here because I've never seen him do something like this. But it looks exactly what I would expect it to be.
Yeah, and I agree. It's got. I mean, you got Jack Black in there, and you got Carl MacLachlan apparently.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm just reading he's in the description.
I do like him. But you know, you get a quirky kids adventure. You know, clocks are coming to life. There's monsters behind closet doors, and
I think it's very telling. This is from Amblin, and it feels in that vein, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does feel like it's aping a lot of other movies that have already done this kind of thing. Like there was nothing about it that felt kind of original or I don't know.
That's true.
Nothing sparked my interest, and I can enjoy like a kid's like adventure in this vein.
Yeah,
but this just wasn't necessarily hitting any of the
I
buttons.
think it'll be perfectly fun, and kids will probably love it. But I don't think it'll be necessarily a standout spectacular.
So you know, didn't move my needle, I guess, is my summary of The House with a Clock on its Walls. Next up, we had a trailer for The Darkest Minds, which I'd never heard of, but about halfway through I went, this is a young adult adaptation, isn't it? I had that feeling. I just had that feeling. I didn't even check. I just know it is. I just know it in my heart.
That makes sense. They're not saying it in the description.
Because, yeah, this was just full on, like... kids, a lot of kids have been wiped out. The ones who survived have got superpowers.
I found it based upon the novel. But
Nice.
I mean, novel, not series, which is different to a lot of young adult stuff.
True. It could just be them the way they've phrased it.
It could be, yeah.
So kids have superpowers. They're kind of hunted by the adults. The adults all fear them. So it's kind of an X-Men story in a way. I was even getting X-Men vibes as they were kind of on the run, and like one guy had telekinesis and he was throwing trees at people. Yeah. Yeah, honestly, my biggest problem with this trailer, other than the fact that I feel like I've seen, parts of this story from different things, mainly X-Men, a little bit of, I don't know, Kids on the Run, anything. Take your pick. Tons of stuff like that.
Loads of it.
My biggest problem was just like the music and the cheesy like titles that kept coming up. I was like, yeah, this is full on young adult. And there's nothing about it that I'm necessarily liking that much, and I'm just getting the sappiness that they want to like get across to me. So all this trailer did was convince me that no, I never want to see this. Thank you very much. I will.
Pretty much. For the record, I clicked on the link to the book that they provided, and it seems to actually be published by Disney. The book.
Okay.
And it is a series. It's book one of a series. But the reason that it only says novel and not advertising the whole series is that it only came out in January. So,
they're getting there right early. Then they're developing the book and the movies at the same time.
Yep, pretty much.
So there you go. Interesting. Next up, we had a trailer for First Reformed, which is an Ethan Hawke movie where he plays a priest. And the plot seems to be he's very kind of lonely, and he's. You hear that he convinced his son to join up to the army as a point of pride, and his son was killed like within weeks or months of going to Iraq.
And obviously now he feels very guilty.
Yeah, so he's in a very bad place, and the main plot of the movie though seems to be that one of his Man of Seafood specifically, but one of his flock is
congregation.
There you go. I think flock worked.
It's not bad, but I'm just giving you the actual word, so you know for future now.
I knew that anyway. I just couldn't think of the word. But she basically, I think it's like her brother or her boyfriend. I'm not sure which. I didn't quite get her relationship to this guy, but she's like, yeah, my brother's like thinking of being a suicide bomber, and the movie seems to be about him dealing with the fact that he's got this secret, and he's trying to like either talk him out of it, or can I interfere? Can I intervene? Can I stop this?
Yeah.
Interested in movies in 4:3.
Yeah, which is I'm looking forward to seeing the artistic choice for that, because it's
Interesting choice.
clearly a choice.
Yeah, it's a choice, and there's a couple of nice moments as well visually. I thought the ending and the sort of the dusk kind of.
There's a shot where it looks up at the church, and it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, so I mean I came away from this. Obviously, last week we kind of made fun of the Netflix church movie that didn't really do anything for either of us. This one feels like it has more of an edge. Like it's actually like it's him like questioning like what he should do in his position to try and stop this. It's really questioning his morals. It's questioning his guilt. It feels like he's kind of on edge. It looks like it's going to be a good character acting piece, if nothing else.
Yeah, so it turns out when you give A24 a church movie instead of Netflix, it's far more interesting.
Yeah, A24, of course, who we've mentioned a few times, almost seem to curate their movies as much as they just finance them and release them.
They really do, because every time they put out a trailer, it looks like it has real quality to it.
Yeah, and of course, for doing a movie in 4:3 now, that makes me go, oh, you made a choice. That's interesting.
And obviously, usually once I've seen the movie, I can understand the choice. Obviously, I don't get it quite from the trailer.
Yeah, my guess at this juncture would be he's got a narrow field of view. He's got a narrow view of the world.
He's very closed in on his opinions.
Yeah.
And I can see it shift into a wider aspect ratio towards the end as he kind of broadens his mind.
It's a bit gimmicky, but it could happen.
It is, but I wouldn't be too shocked.
A bit gimmicky, but I could see it happening. I do think it could also just simply be that he is very lonely. He keeps shut off from the world. That could also be the thematic reason for the 4:3. But it does look good. It looks interesting. So
it does, and I think that's coming out sometime in May.
So First Reformed is the name of that one. Next up, this is we actually got a teaser for this one last week. So it's very rare to put the full trailer out a week later. Because when I say teaser, it wasn't one of those bullshit 10-second things. The full trailer's coming on Monday.
There's a traditional teaser, and then there's the new teaser.
The traditional teaser is a proper teaser. It's a minute long, give or take.
I'll tell you the difference. There's teaser trailer, which is what you're discussing, what we talked about last week with this. And then there's a trailer teaser, which is the 10 seconds teasing the trailer.
It's bullshit is what it is. They should stop doing it. It's ridiculous. The point is we got a teaser last week for a film called Terminal, and then this week we got a full 2.5 minute trailer with actual sort of hints of plot, although I still don't feel like I know exactly what's going on.
I agree.
It was a bit convoluted in that sense. It does look very stylish. This is the movie with Margot Robbie, Simon Pegg. There seems to be assassinations. She's kind of this femme fatale, vixenous kind of character who's luring various people in. There's a lot of neon, which I do appreciate.
A lot of style.
A lot of style. Honestly, I'm looking at this and going, I like how it looks. I don't know if I'm going to like the plot.
I get that. I think I was more into it last week with the teaser trailer when it was just the visuals and the music.
Yeah, but it was very like, vague.
What's this?
Whereas this time there's a lot of characters talking and saying things, and I'm like,
I'm hoping it's just a not great trailer.
Yeah, no, it's very possible. It's very possible. It looks like it's going to be worth it for Robbie's performance, if nothing else. She seems to be really leaning into this vixen character.
She does, and Simon Pegg seems to be doing quite a performance as well.
Different to his usual roles. Yeah, he's not just a comic relief, seemingly, from what we're seeing here. Some potential, but I think there's also warning signs in there of where it might not be up to
slightly
snuff.
Less excited than I was last week, but still interesting enough that I want to check it out.
Yeah. Next up, we got a trailer for a film called Godard Mon Amour, which is a comedy biopic about Jean-Luc Godard, who, of course, is a famous French director from the 60s and 70s and whatnot. It's about him marrying this actress that he falls in love with, and kind of about how he was a very frustrated filmmaker and how it also mixed in with his politics, and it looks very quirky. Honestly, I'm not necessarily excited about the movie as a whole, but what I want to completely compliment here is how authentically 60s this looks.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It looks like it was shot in the 60s. It is insanely impressive.
It is, yeah. It's really nailed that style and just the visual look of it. Even the way the film grain is.
Yeah, it looks it looks like one of the movies he would have made at the time. So
it just something I thought was interesting is at the very end it says based on the actress's account of her marriage. So it's from her point of view.
Interesting, yeah.
Which I think is going to be maybe an interesting spin on it.
Which, yeah, could either be more honest because it's not like him clouded.
It's not glorifying him or anything like that.
But depending on how if she ended up divorcing him really angrily, it might be a bit biased in another way.
It might, yeah. I don't know the story. I'm not particularly familiar, so
I'm not familiar with that though. I've seen a couple of his movies, but I'm not familiar with his personal life or any of that stuff. But it definitely had like a style. It looked like it had quality, and it could be good. But the thing I really want to commend is the visuals and how it looks like a 60s movie. It really does. Next up, we had a trailer from a Netflix movie. Obviously, this is a weekly occurrence. We get at least one of these a week, called Kodachrome, starring Ed Harris,
Jason Sudeikis.
There you go, that's the name. I always forget his name, but yeah, Elizabeth Olsen's the other one. And it's a movie about Ed Harris is his estranged father, but he's dying. He's getting old. He's sick. He's dying. He's a photographer of old, and he's basically found some old reels of film that he wants developed, but that's something that doesn't really happen anymore. Admittedly, I'm not sure I buy it's as hard as this movie looks like it's making it out to be.
I think it is. I know from personal experience where my mother found some old film. She's like, where can I get it? And she had to travel a couple of cities over to get to it.
Yeah, but this movie's like a road trip across the country to find the one town in the entire of the US that still has the...
I think it's more like, surely it's like the 110, the state, right?
No, I was getting more of a longer road trip vibe from this trailer.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, it could be a big state.
I don't hate the idea though. I think it's a decent little idea for a character drama.
Yeah.
The idea that they're bonding, because like this is the obvious thing, but I'm going to make the guess now, is that when they finally develop the photos at the end of the movie, it's sort of his son. Because throughout the whole trailer, is very much. So probably my favourite moment in the trailer is where he's like, "Oh, I remember every photo I took. I remember everything, every single one of them." And then he just Sudeikis looks him right in the eye and says, "When's my birthday?"
Yeah, it's like everyone there. It's like, yeah, he's like everyone. Like, yeah, when's my birthday? Completely blank.
Yeah, but you undersold that though. He actually says it really like assertively.
Yeah, no, but it's the way he questions it first. It's like, you remember everyone, and he's like, yeah, I do.
Yeah, but no, you sort of mumbled. You went and sort of, everyone. So when's my birthday? Like, he didn't do that. He didn't go down. It was very assertive. It was very. So when's my birthday? And then it's awkward silence. He's just staring at him. He has no idea. His father has no idea when his birthday is. So it looks okay. Like I'm not necessarily excited, or I'm not necessarily assuming it'll be good. I can see it suffering from that Netflix movie syndrome of just being kind of slow and uneventful, but.
I think it looks better than the last bunch of Netflix trailers we got.
That's fair. Good cast. I like Ed Harris. I like Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah, and obviously they put up the review quotes as you go through these trailers sometimes, and they're all saying it's Ed Harris's performance of a lifetime. Some of them, like they're really praising his performance.
Yeah. Obviously they're cherry picking because it's the trailer. But,
of course, but
yeah.
Obviously that's probably the extreme end, but it still does look like a very good performance, if nothing else.
Yeah, so that's Kodachrome. That is coming next month. So
yeah, April 20th.
Next up, we had a trailer. William H. Macy is actually directing. He's in it as well, but he's directing this. It's called Crystal, and it's a movie about a teenager who gets a crush on Rosario Dawson, because he runs into her at the beach, and he gets a crush, and he tries to basically, befriend her and put the moves on her.
Flirt his way in.
And it's kind of this quirky story of him trying to flirt his way in with this, this essentially middle-aged woman at this point. And it seems like she acknowledges, like, what age are you? And she's sort of like being nice to him, but it's not necessarily that she's accepting the flirting as much.
Yeah, because he's like, I'm 18, and then her kid comes out.
Yeah, her son, who's clearly his age, or if not older, comes out. That said, my favourite moment in this entire trailer is when her shitty ex-boyfriend, like, he tries to, she's not there, but he tries to, stand up for her when she's not there, and he punches the ex-boyfriend.
And all that, yeah.
And the boyfriend, basically, he's like a Terminator. He doesn't, he barely feels the punch, and he gets scared, and the son in the wheelchair saves him by driving into the ex-boyfriend.
It's a motorized wheelchair.
Yeah, and then he takes the teenager in his lap and drives off with him in his lap. He saves him. He actually saves him and takes him away.
It cracks me up. You've got things like him trying to be the bad boy with the bike and the smoking and all those sorts of things.
Because he thinks that's what will appeal to her. It's kind of him. So it's very much a coming of age. Like, I feel like I can already tell what the final point in the movie is going to be. Is that, like, he's not going to get her because she's a middle-aged woman. She's going to be like, no, this is not going to happen. She'll make him a kiss or something just to But it'll be, no, you have to learn that this is you
You'll be
learn who you are. Yeah. And you'll have a crush probably on someone his own age at the end of the movie. I can almost see these beats. Grant Gustin's in this playing like a guy with a really southern accent, which was really weird.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Really, really weird. Just bizarre. So, yeah, I said another one where there's some things I like in here. There's a couple of moments that made me laugh. It does have a bit of quirkiness to it. But at the same time, it's giving me this weird tone, and I don't know what to feel about it.
Yeah, I had fun with it. I will say it was with Greg Gustin. He has like a little beard mustache. He really reminds me of Andrew Garfield in this.
Okay.
Like I've never seen it before, but in this trailer, I was like, "Oh, I'm really like seeing that from him."
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty fun trailer. It's like, okay, I know what this movie is, but I like that sort of movie.
I do typically. I'm just not sure. Like it's sort of thing where this might actually be a really fun little comedy drama, or it might be, whatever. So, but hey, obviously got a good cast. I mean, I don't know if I like William H Macy as an actor. I don't know if I like him as a director. That's something to find out, I suppose.
It is. You will find out soonish, I guess.
Yeah. So the last trailer we had this week. So it was a slightly quieter week this week. Only had the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's lower than normal.
That is. We're usually in double digits.
Yeah. So this is kind of a stupid one because it's a direct-to-video movie, but I couldn't help myself. Because we spoke about this in the news not that long ago. It just shows you how quick the cycle is for these direct-to-video movies.
When I saw this, because I was like, didn't we just speak about this? It's like, this is coming out already. There's a trailer already. What?
Yeah. I think when they announced it when they'd already maybe shot it. Like
they must have done. But it shocked me because they didn't make that clear when they announced it.
But yeah, so Daphne and Velma, the prequel Scooby-Doo movie without Scooby-Doo, is just Daphne and Velma. The actress just playing Daphne's got like a sort of almost Jane Levi kind of look to her.
Okay, I see what you're saying, yeah.
It's not her, but she's got a bit of that look to her. So
Jane Levi meets like Selena Gomez.
Okay, sure. But so this is a goofy kids direct-to-video movie with them solving mysteries in the high school because there's some sort of conspiracy going on. At one point she says jinkies or whatever she says and whatnot. It looks stupid as shit. Yeah, I have no interest. I'm not opposed to the idea necessarily, although I do think it's weird having a Scooby-Doo prequel without Scooby-Doo in any capacity.
Yeah, I thought it was really weird that it didn't have a date on the end of the trailer because it comes up at the end. It's like, look for it on DVD, Blu-ray, and digital. But when I see that, I expect to see a date with it.
I have nothing to counter that with. I don't know why.
No, it struck me as strange as all.
It's a bit strange, but hey, it looks really silly. Really goofy jokes. There's some really like at one point there's a joke where Velma is like going through the hallways at night and she runs into like the janitor. And the janitor's like, what are you doing here? It's like, what are you doing here? It's like, I'm mopping. It's like, yeah, that's what they all say. And I'm like, this is horrible dialogue. That was supposed to be funny. No.
Yeah.
Just no.
For the record, I just found out it's coming out May 22nd, if anyone gives a shit.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's aimed at kids, it's aimed at young girls, and for them it's probably going to work just nicely, but for anyone who's over a certain age...
Do you know what the problem is, though? For the people who it's aiming at, they've already got Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, but it's something extra to sell these kids.
I mean, sure.
So the parents have to buy the Blu-ray, well, probably DVD. I feel like parents, when they're buying stuff for their kids, are like, no, we're buying the cheap option possible.
Yeah, probably.
Kids don't care about the quality.
I bet some snobby kids do now. I bet you were a snobby kid.
No, because I didn't have the option. Because it was just VHS when I was a kid, so it's not like I had the option of being snobby.
Okay, it's true, but...
I would have been. Had we been in this, part of the timeline.
You'd have been insisting on Blu-rays from the age of 6.
Hey, my parents are just lucky I didn't know what a Laserdisc was, right? They're just lucky I'd never heard of it. Because otherwise that'd have been on the Christmas list.
Oh, I bet it would have been.
And lots of Laserdiscs.
Were you an early adopter for DVD?
Not super early. Because it was right when I was just a little bit too young to really care enough.
No, needed your parents into the tech.
Nah, not really. Once I did jump in, though, I was, both feet.
Yeah. Head first.
That's it. I'm actually at a point now where I've got more Blu-rays than I ever did DVDs. So I've surpassed that part, that portion of the timeline. But hey ho, that is the trailers this week. So we pick our favourite. That's what we do at the end. I think the obvious pick is probably First Reformed. It's probably the most interesting one, I think.
I agree with that.
It's the one that I'm the most curious about the film. There was things to praise in some of the other ones. There was a lot of kind of meh ones, but I think First Reformed is the one that stuck out the most.
That's the one that stands out, definitely.
Surprise, surprise, the A24 trailer is the one that stood out. But
I know, it's become a bit of a trend, this, isn't it?
Alright, so back onto the general news. Netflix have won the screen rights to The Wicked Deep, the first novel by Shia Earnshaw. It is a young adult novel, published by Simon Pauls, and just debuted number 7 on the New York Times bestseller list just this past week. Several suitors chased the book, but Netflix closed a deal that is 6 figures against the high 6 figures if the movie gets made. So they get paid an X amount, and then if it actually gets made, they get paid even more. That's not uncommon.
Netflix throwing money everywhere, though, aren't they?
They
I mean, 6 figures is still a lot for just for the rights.
Yeah, for a lot of different audiences as well, I think is the important part of what they do.
They are, yeah.
So bidders sparked to the book for its potential to unfold like a Twilight Saga romance.
All right, I'm out.
Yeah. The sleepy town of Sparrow, Oregon is considered cursed for good reason. 2 centuries ago, 3 sisters were sentenced to die for being witches. Drowned in 1822, the trio comes up for air each summer long enough to inhabit the bodies of 3 weak-willed girls with the intention of luring boys to the swimming hole for a fatal plunge. When a 70-year-old named Penny Talbot falls for a newcomer named Bo Carter, she becomes determined to see he does not become one of the drowning victims.
Do you remember when Smallville did this plot? I want to say like season 4, Lana, Chloe... Someone else got possessed by witches.
I don't think they were trying to drown people, but yeah. I recall that plot. It's interesting to bring Smallville up. I'm not going to bring it up here. Let's just say, on Television for the Multiverse this week, there's going to have to be an update to something that we've been making fun of recently, which is suddenly very serious, based on the actions of some of the actresses at Smallville.
Yeah.
Pretty serious stuff.
Yes, it is.
Just look up Alex and Max Sex Cult, and you can get the full story in advance if you want. If you happen to enjoy our TV Multiverse podcast, we'll fill you in on that.
Oh yeah, all the juicy details.
It's relevant there.
Let's be honest, there might even be more details by the time we get to that recording.
There might be, because right now she's expected to be arrested. She's not arrested yet, so that could be at least one update come Sunday. Anyway, so. This is the only adult thing, not for us. I'll move on. So I think it's happening.
Yep, hard pass.
Netflix making more movies. Surprise, surprise. So next up, Paramount has landed Intruders, a script by Armored screenwriter James V. Simpson that is best described as an alien home invasion thriller. Now, before you jump in here, just bear with me. The concept is inspired by Close Encounters of the Third Kind and the Kelly Hopkinsville encounter, which a Kentucky family claimed to have survived an all-night alien home invasion attempt. I want to read about this. This family who claimed this happened to them. The producers hope the sci-fi premise will lead to a franchise. Now, here's the thing. You're probably thinking, wait a minute, this sounds familiar. Did we not talk about this? Yeah,
I'm getting deja vu.
I thought the same thing. Luckily, at the bottom of this, it actually specified this is not the same movie. You're thinking of where was the word? Invasion. This is Intruders. These are different movies.
I remember it being Invasion because you criticised the title. You'd be like, it's a bit shit.
Because Invasion is the Blumhouse produced movie, right? And it wraps a ticking talk sci-fi premise with immigration for a thriller that revolves around a home invasion that happens during an alien invasion. So Invasion is a home invasion in the middle of an alien invasion. Intruders is an alien invasion that is also a home invasion movie. So one of them, the aliens are the home invaders, and the other, it's not aliens that are home invading. That's just going on whilst the home invasion is happening.
Look, as much as you criticised Invasion as the title, at least that had the double meaning. Intruders could be any home invasion movie. There's nothing there to tell me it's aliens.
Either way, I'm game for both to try and impress me.
Me too.
I like the sound of both. They both sound fine. Go for it.
I mean, sure. I don't know why they're both doing it right now, but sure.
Home invasion's a hot concept
home invasions and alien invasions. Everyone can't get enough of those.
That'd be good.
I mean,
Fine.
Alien Invasion's timeless. Let's be honest. But
So next up, Awesomeness Films has brought together a bunch of cast for its next film called The Stand-In. Camila Mendes from Riverdale being one of them, Laura Marano, Noah Centineo, and Odysseus Georgiades, if I'm pronouncing that right. I probably didn't, but apologies. It's going to be directed by Chris Nelson. And a clever scheme to raise money for college, Brooks Rattigan. Rattigan? That's very close to Rattigan, the villain from Basil the Great Mouse Detective.
it is, isn't it?
So Brooks Rattigan creates a dating app wherein he plays the role of the stand-in boyfriend for every kind of situation you can imagine. Through the journey of being a different person every night of the week, he finds out that the real Brooke isn't who he thought at all, and to his surprise, falls for the real girl of his dreams. It's a romantic comedy through and through.
Yep, sounds exactly like I'd expect it to.
Yeah, so there you go. That's that. I have no more to add. Next up, Netflix has acquired the live-action feature film rights to Carmen Sandiego. You're going to be like, wait a minute. Didn't we already have a Carmen Sandiego Netflix story like a year ago?
Well, wasn't it TV?
A year ago, they greenlit an animated series for Carmen Sandiego. Now they've got the live-action rights. They're doing a live-action movie as well.
Sure, why not?
Interestingly, Gina Rodriguez, who I mentioned in the TV news, was in 2 movie news stories this week. This is one of them, of course. She's going to star, and interestingly, she was also already cast as the voice of the animated series. So they're actually,
I recall that.
Yeah, they're kind of. Yeah, I don't necessarily know if they're in continuity. It probably doesn't matter. They're probably standalone, so it's fine. But
for all intents and purposes,
yeah,
they might as well be.
Exactly. So, no, there you go. That's the thing that's happening.
Man, deja vu. These stories back to back.
Yeah. Deja vu all over again.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a line from Scream.
I got it.
Did you?
Yeah.
It's a really specific line. I didn't think you'd get that, but okay.
I've seen Scream quite a bit for some reason.
Alright, cool. We'll move on. Nate Parker, who directed Birth of a Nation, has got his next film lined up. It's called Black and Blue, and it's a feature film based on the life of decorated LAPD detective Ralph Waddy. So Parker's rewriting the script from originally penned by Jim McGrath. So Black and Blue will revolve around Ralph Waddy's life. The true hero, Waddy, I said Woody that time. It's a weird name. Ralph Waddy's life, a true hero of the LAPD during what was the most racially charged period in the city's history, as it dealt with the Watch riots, Robert Kennedy's assassination at the Ambassador Hotel, and the rise of the Black Panthers, the capture of the Skid Row slasher, and the Manson murders. So this is like
That's a lot of stuff.
This is like the 4th movie the Manson murders are in some way involved in. Some,
Yeah.
Anyway, so. Waddy is connected to the Manson murders. Waddy's was involved in investigating all of those things. He was involved in investigating all of those things. So he was at the center of a lot of this stuff in terms of investigations. He was specifically the detective who connected the murders to Manson and his followers for that particular crime. So clearly, this guy had a very active career as a police officer. He did a lot of things here.
He did, yeah.
So.
I have a question. Didn't Birth of a Nation get some criticism for the way it dealt with its racial issues?
I don't remember that. I remember Nate Parker having a lot of controversy because of his rape trial from his college years. I don't remember the film itself. It was kind of overshadowed by the...
Yeah. Maybe I'm just rolling them in together, but I seem to remember them.
Yeah.
Happening you
may be right. You may be right. I really can't remember.
And just I'm thinking, if that's true, it's kind of interesting that straight on to this.
Yeah. I never saw Birth of a Nation, so I can't comment on it. But it definitely was one where when it played at Cannes or whatever, there was a lot of hubbub about it.
Yeah.
And all the personal stuff about the director came out, which is. So we'll see. We'll see what sort of attention
that was
gets.
obviously before the Me Too movement as well. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes down this time around.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. Certainly a controversial figure, if nothing else, as Nate
absolutely.
Parker. Next up, hot off the heels of The Big Sick, the director of that, Michael Showalter. And admittedly, before I even get onto this, I will say I think The Big Sick's fantastic, but I think it's more due to with the cast and the script than I do think it's the direction.
I agree.
I don't necessarily mean he's bad though. He could still be great, but
he could. Maybe he was great at directing those actors.
So he's signed on for Universal's holiday comedy starring Jessica Chastain and Octavia Spencer.
Oh, I'm so in.
It's not titled yet, but clearly you like the cast. That's good.
Yeah.
Really simple premise. You don't like Christmas though.
I know, but I like the cast.
Following a heated bidding war, the studio won the rights to the Untitled pitch from Chastain's Freckle Films. So she's actually a producer on it as well. So there's not a lot to the plot, but the one simple sentence that we have: the film follows two women fighting the elements to make it home in time for Christmas. It's that simple.
How much money do you want to bet Matt has a new favourite Christmas movie?
Chastain's in a Christmas movie. Honestly, this is kind of what I like, this type of premise for a Christmas movie. I mean, it can be bad, obviously, if it's just horrible, but something as simple as that. Two people fighting. I assume they're competing in some way to get home. Or maybe I mean, it says they're fighting to get home.
Oh, yeah, I mean, like, fighting the elements. Fighting to get home. Like, not
yeah,
against
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of... I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm going to maybe assume there's a bit of a...
I assume there's a rivalry. They're a bit antagonistic,
Yeah.
but I don't think they're actively competing in the way that you maybe thought there.
Well, I think it might be. I could see it being the kind of thing where like one of them steals the last cab, and then the other one's pissed at her, so then she steals the next thing, and But when I say fight, I mean more of a comical, kind of light-hearted.
Oh yeah, not
fighting.
physical.
Yeah. Maybe by the end, maybe that's the third act, as they finally start pulling each other's hair out or something. I don't know. But yeah, so there you go. It's a simple premise. No title, but notable cast, good actors, and director who made a good movie. But I mean, I don't know if I'd attribute it to him specifically.
I'd say if nothing else, he had the comic timing. When he's overseeing the edit and all that sort of stuff. So it should pay off nicely in here.
So I would expect that'll be coming Christmas 2019.
Sounds about right.
So, because comedies are pretty quick to be made, relatively speaking, and it's not going to make this year. I don't think. Well,
I mean, they could if they really wanted to.
It is possible. The reason why I don't think it is possible is because I think those actors are just too busy to squeeze this in now.
No, I agree. It'd be scheduling more than anything.
Yeah.
The actual movie itself probably could be made.
If they were free to do this like any time this year, then they could knock it out by this Christmas. They could, but
it depends if they got 3 weeks spare, basically.
Yeah, it'll be about 3 weeks shooting time. Yeah. So anyway, next up, Joe Wright is going to direct The Woman in the Window. It's an adaptation of A.J. Finn's bestseller novel. I didn't actually say novel there, but I'm assuming it's novel. So, The Woman in the Window centres on the reclusive Dr. Anna Fox, who spends her days holding her New York City brownstone, fortifying herself with too much wine, binge-watching old movies, and spying on her neighbours. In the Rear Window vein, Anna eventually witnesses something she shouldn't while keeping tabs on the Russell family, the seemingly picture-perfect clan that lives across the way. The thriller has been a brisk seller since debuting in stores in January. So it's a new book. Just came out in January. Obviously, I love Rear Window. I think Rear Window is like a damn near perfect movie. It's a 10. So I'm not opposed to other films in the style of it.
I'm shocked there hasn't been more in the style of it, actually.
We had Disturbia like 10 years ago, which was just mediocre.
But it feels like, when you get like a horror movie now and everyone apes it and it's like, all right, let's do it. That's the next big thing.
Well, yeah, well, that's the thing, though. Rear Window came at a time when they didn't do that.
No, exactly. But I'm surprised no one ever went back and went, hey, let's all just do that. It shocks me because it's such an obvious premise to
it's a great premise. The reason why Rear Window's so goddamn good. I'll take a fun rehash of it.
Yeah.
A little bit different as well. The idea that she's just a recluse, there's nothing keeping her there, is a little bit different. Because I feel like Rear Window was definitely, he's forced there because he's got a broken leg.
Disturbia, I can see the arc being here where it's like she's got to overcome it and go outside to help.
Yeah. That's just pretty obvious, yeah. Which is actually good because it's a different arc than Rear Window. Exactly.
It will make it a different movie, essentially.
The character story is different, even if the basic plot beats are the same. So that's interesting. So next up, Evan Rachel Wood and Gina Rodriguez, there she is again, have been tapped to star in Miranda July's Untitled heist film, along with Richard Jenkins and Deborah Winger. I like Richard Jenkins a lot. Obviously, Evan Rachel Wood we liked on Westworld. She's also in The Wrestler, so we're getting that too. Gina Rodriguez, of course, we saw her in Annihilation, but most people know her from Jane the Virgin. So,
sure.
But hey, so Annapurna is teaming with Brad Pitt's Plan B for the project. It's going to shoot in May. The plot follows old Dolio, a woman raised by con artists whose life is interrupted when an outsider is invited to take part in the family's latest heist. Sounds
kind of fun.
Sounds like a sort of more light-hearted action comedy to me.
A family heist movie.
Yeah. There you go.
I can see it being fun.
Of course we say that. Watch it be the most grittiest, darkest, hard R rating ever.
Probably.
Chill you to your bone.
Do you know what? That's the problem with a lot of these descriptions. They can really swerve me based on my expectations from what they say to what it actually ends up being.
Yeah, because the Rear Window one, that says in the vein of Rear Window, so that gives me a nice foothold. I can see.
I know what to tonally what to expect.
But hey, so that actually takes us on to the horror movie news section. So we're moving on, and first up, Universal Pictures has won an auction for an action thriller called The Hunt. Why is this here, you might ask? Because it's also being produced by Jason Blum in Blumhouse.
So it's probably not really a thriller.
So I made even though action thriller made me feel like it was maybe not a horror movie, I still felt like thriller with Blumhouse. I'm going with it.
Yeah.
But
so that was the point. I saw people talking about A Quiet Place earlier, and everywhere's describing it as a thriller. I'm like, kind of looks like a horror movie.
It's a horror movie. Some movies are thrillers. Like some people will argue that Seven and Silence of the Lambs are horror movies. I disagree. I think they're thrillers. But there is definitely a faction of people in Hollywood that if they like a movie, they'll call it a thriller, and they'll look down upon everything else as horror. It's weird.
Yeah. Silence of the Lambs, I can see the argument for horror a bit more.
Nah, FBI investigating
I
a
would
serial
always
killer
put it in thriller, but I can at least see the argument. But
nah,
how anyone thinks Seven is a horror movie.
Nah, to me those are both thrillers. They are what they are. Anyway, so this is called The Hunt. It's a spec script written by Damien Lindelof and Nick Hughes, which is interesting because Damien Lindelof co-showran Lost with Carlton Hughes, Nick Hughes' father. So he's working with his son now, interestingly. So they wrote a script for this. Craig Zobel, who directed Z for Zachary, has been hired to direct. And then all three of these people actually collaborated on The Leftovers. They all worked on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Obviously, I knew about Lindelof, but I didn't know about the others.
Yeah, Zobel directed episodes, and I assume Hughes wrote episodes. It was on the writing staff. So we got some talent here. Z for Zachary, I didn't love it. It was kind of bland. It honestly took away the more interesting parts of the book, because I'd actually read this book. Very rare for me. But
earlier on, we were just being about how you never read books.
But I did read this book, and they actually took out the interesting parts, bizarrely. But it did look nice, so I mean, I don't necessarily think that was a fault necessarily of the direction. And knowing that he's done some Leftovers, and that this is working with the writers of the Leftovers,
I assume that this is a bit of a safer hands.
Yeah. So the logline's been kept under wraps, but what they've kind of gleamed a little bit is it's a subversive feature that takes cues from the current political climate in America and aggressive nature of the right versus left, taking it to the more extreme and violent level. So not a lot to go on, but names...
Yep.
Yeah. So, Leftovers team plus Blumhouse.
It really feels like Blumhouse is, after the success of Get Out, they're leaning into the political horror.
Yeah, they want something a bit more prestigious, maybe, yeah.
And I can see this kind of filling that slot based on that premise and the people attached.
Honestly, if he ever does end up winning an Oscar where he gets to go up on stage, as a producer, I really hope he goes up and says, it's not a thriller, it's a horror. A horror just won an award.
I would if I were him.
Yeah, I would so do it. Next up, Kevin Bacon is producing and starring in a horror thriller. That's a weird... it's weird you hear horror thriller as a combo, but it's called You Should Have Left. David Cope is directing from his own script, and look at that, Blumhouse is producing this.
Of course I am.
They're going to start shooting later this year. The project is based on Daniel Kellman's novel, which centers on a screenwriter in a remote house in the Alps working on a sequel to his hit film. The writer begins to lose his bearings thanks to unexplained occurrences. The book came out last year, so. A little bit The Shining.
A little bit of
Shining, although maybe without the thing that makes it The Shining.
Yeah.
The tell us,
I'm just thinking of the idea, right? Writer going to find my peace.
Yeah.
Go somewhere and write.
Yeah. Honestly, the last horror movie I saw Kevin Bacon in was absolute garbage. So I even though it probably a different writer, different director, different everything. Although David Cope's a pretty bland filmmaker, I still just inherently think of The Darkness, and just I'm like, ugh. But of course, me and Tim will have to do this on streams at some point, so I'll just have to make peace with it.
Yeah, suck it up.
But yeah, there you go. So
you can report back and let me know if I should bother or not, basically.
Yeah. Next up, Sally Hawkins is going to be executive producing. Bizarrely, like, this is obviously they're using her name because she's like just known. She's just in an Oscar-winning movie.
Yep.
But she's just executive producing a film called, and the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Do you know what? We got through all of the TV news without you doing it.
Oh really? I failed. I failed everyone. I must commit seppuku. But no. So in the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you know, you had the main, you had the Buffy, you had the friends Willow and Xander, you had the older Watcher character Giles, and then there was the popular bitchy one. What was her name again?
No idea. It's been such a long time, and she's such a non-character.
The film's called Cordelia. It's a psychological thriller. Again, I'm kind of playing the odds here and just assuming it's a horror movie that they're not calling a horror movie. But I could be wrong. It's about a young woman who's haunted by past events and who starts to unravel when left alone in her apartment. See, that sounds like a horror movie to me. It
does, but it's just vague enough that it could be psychological thriller.
Yeah. Antonia Campbell Hughes stars as Cordelia. She co-wrote the screenplay with Adrian Shergold, who's also directed it. So they co-wrote the script, and then one's starring and one's directing. So it's very much a two-person kind of show in a lot of ways. Michael Gambon's going to be in it. Catherine McCormick's going to be in it. And Johnny Flynn's going to be in it. So the titular Cordelia lives with her twin sister Caroline and Caroline's new boyfriend Matt in a basement flat in one of the less fancy parts of London. She is trying to cope with them, a stalker, and neighbours, including a mysterious cellist and an eccentric old man, Mr. Moses.
Okay.
So I could see this being more like Rear Window or more like a horror movie, and I don't know which in between.
Yeah, I think a basement flat's pretty interesting. You don't see those that often.
Yeah, you're at the bottom of the food chain.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, it's saying psychological though, so I think a part of it might be, it could lead into more of a thriller where she's just getting really stressed out by everything. Like maybe, like as it says, it's a stalker, but maybe there's not really a stalker. Maybe she's just thinking this.
Yeah,
guy's
I'm thinking, it's all this anxiety, and she's kind of doing this to herself, sort of thing.
And then she's going to snap at the end of the movie and kill everyone.
Maybe. Well, I wouldn't be too surprised.
Could happen. So I don't know. Again, borderline, but I'm rolling the dice and saying horror. And then finally, last up in the horror news, we have a new. Well, I was going to say remake. It's kind of like It, where it was a TV miniseries. Right. So, but now if there's a movie, it's kind of a remake, but it's kind of not. Tommyknockers, another Stephen King novel, is getting a new movie in the works. And I'm surprised there's not been any more, but I did say after It made $700 million, expect a few more Stephen King adaptations coming your way soon. So here's one, Tommyknockers.
Oh yeah, like we haven't had enough recently anyway.
We haven't had that much recently.
We had It, we had Gerald's Game, we had...
Well, yeah, but they already happened though. I'm saying stuff that get put into production as a result of the success. After It.
Alright, I'm with you.
Right, good.
I'm just saying there was quite a lot in the last couple of years.
So James Wan is going to be producing, which is notable. He obviously produced and directed Insidious, The Conjuring, various things, and it is so science fiction horror novel. It came out in 1987. The story told of a town in Maine that falls under the influence of a dangerous gas from an unearthed spacecraft. The gas begins to transform the people, giving them enhanced abilities, but also making them violent and subject to alien hive mentality. One man, thanks to a steel plate in his head, is immune to the effects and tries to stop the townspeople. There was a miniseries on ABC, way back when, starring Jimmy Smits and Marg Hellenberger. In 2013, NBC announced it was going to do another adaptation, but it never actually came to be. So, so they're planning a movie. I'm getting the Crazies vibes from this.
Right.
Just to compare it to a movie I've seen, both the original and the remake.
Yeah, fair enough. It sounds all right.
Yeah, sounds fine. Sounds an idea. So, it sounds kind of like almost like a zombie outbreak, but they're more like really violent and super powered.
Yeah. One's just producing, not directing, right?
Yes, just producing. So we don't know who's directing yet or anything like that, but it's in development and definitely notable. So
just a little bit on James Wan. He was talking about the Aquaman movie this week, and because there was rumors that we were going to get a trailer this past week, and then it never happened. And he came out and said, the reason why is because he hasn't let one come out yet because he's waiting until the VFX are actually finished.
Okay.
Until they put, because often they'll do a trailer when they're kind of still in the ropey stage.
So
but
you didn't think this was relevant during the comic book section or even the trailer section?
Look,
you thought
the problem is
horror movie section.
The problem is I didn't remember it until he said James Wan's name. And I was like, oh yeah, that happened this week. He said that. So I'm bringing it up now. So screw you. And I just thought, because obviously there's a lot of, when they'll put out a trailer and the VFX are not done, and you can kind of see it, and it kind of feels like, okay, DCEU does not need that negative press right now. They can't afford to have someone go, yeah, that looks like shit.
It's kind of early now anyway. I mean, it's not until December. They can kind of...
Yeah. They can get away with it a bit longer, yeah.
But yeah, so that is the end of the news, which takes us on to the what we watched this week, and not counting, of course, for movies that were for review purposes. I have zero. I did watch a lot of movies. I recorded Overload with Matt. That'll be up on Patreon. Well, it'll be up on Patreon by the time this is out. And did a Screams, did two Influxes actually, because we were getting a few of them stacked ahead for the busy coming month, and. Yeah, so a lot of movies. And Gigawatts, of course. We did Pacific Rim 2 at the weekend. So a lot of movies, but not for just enjoyment that I could talk about in the movie news.
No, that's fair.
Which means you
have a stack to talk about.
Right, so you got 5 minutes, go.
I'll brush through a couple of these. First off, obviously Avengers is coming up. The girlfriend decided that she wanted to watch through them all, but I'm not sitting through them all properly. So I made the compromise of, we'll watch 20, 30 minutes while dinner's on. While we're eating, and then that'll be it for the day. Until the ones that I actually like and want to watch again.
Okay, so you've watched parts of Iron Man?
I watched Iron Man and The Incredible Hulk. Basically, we got some new flat pack furniture that I had to put together. So Hulk goes on while I was putting that up in the background, basically.
All right, okay.
So, yeah, I mean... I'll say Hulk holds up better as a Phase 1 movie than most of the others, I think, in the sense that it's not a straight-up origin, so it doesn't feel as samey as the others.
I actually always liked Hulk a bit more than most people did for Phase 1.
I think it's a pretty good movie, but I think the others all feel like, okay, it's another origin movie, but the Incredible Hulk isn't, so it kind of stands test time a little bit better than the others, I think.
Cool.
Yeah, on that, I did check out a bunch of the newer, I'll say some of the newer, but the Netflix movies from recently. So first, I did Game Over Man, which we did the trailer for not so long ago. It's atrocious. It's just this is the Die Hard, but they're nerds, right?
Okay, right.
With Damien Dark, who is criminally underused. Like it's that's one of the problems for a start, because they're actually doing the fun side of him. When they're using him, but when they're not, it's just like, well, why have you even got him? It's pointless. And then it's basically just dick jokes.
That's disappointing.
It's really shit. Don't watch it. I then watched Death Note from last year, because this was a morbid curiosity. I'm a big fan of the anime. Well, 2/3 of the anime. It goes off the rails a bit after the end. There's a point where they should have just stopped. But it's not awful. It's kind of really bland. Ryuk, the demon, the death god, which voiced by Defoe, is pretty good. I'll give him that. They nailed that part of it.
Adam Wingard did You're Next and The Guest, and
what's really crazy about this? This got dropped from whatever studio it was with at the time, and he was so passionate about it that he was like, "No, I'm making this movie," and took it elsewhere. And I don't understand why. It's so bland. I will say, over the anime, his girlfriend character is better. She's kind of...
hold on, I was going to say, like, Adam Wingard, he did two great movies, and then he did Blair Witch in this back to
Yeah.
back, and it's just really depressing. It's kind of a Duncan Jones situation where it feels like he's in a bland
Yeah.
phase, and it's just
And you worry he only had a couple of movies in him.
Yeah, I worry. Get back to the first two; they were better.
Yeah. But the girlfriend, she's played by the daughter from The Leftovers, whose name I'm forgetting now.
Margaret Qualley.
Yes, thank you. She's a better character than she was in the anime because that was like one of the weakest characters. The problem is though they just took all of the awful characteristics of Light, who is the main guy, and just gave them to her, which makes her more interesting. And it was an attempt to make Light more heroic and noble, but kind of makes him less interesting. So it's kind of I mean, it's better for her, but it's not so great for your protagonist. So you know. And then they play some really just cheesy songs in big moments, and it loses some impact. But, yeah, so probably not really worth checking out unless you've got a morbid curiosity. But yeah, I watched In Bruges. Had a lot of fun with this movie.
Oh, you hadn't seen that before?
No, I hadn't, and I thought, screw it, that'll do.
No, I like it. I had the unfortunate element of being overhyped. Matt, when he was telling me to watch this for months, was like, "Oh, it's great, it's fantastic, I love this, it's the best thing ever." And it's good, but I didn't love it quite that much. I think this is the same guy who did The Lobster, right?
Lobster. No, not sure.
Is it?
The actor.
No, the director.
Director. Huh?
Or did he do Seven Psychopaths? Someone went on.
Seven Psychopaths, yeah, and recently was what's it? From last year. Damn it.
Regardless,
Three Billboards. That's what I'm thinking.
There you go. Yeah, I think it's probably his weakest out of the three.
Do you think?
Seven Psychopaths. I love Seven Psychopaths.
I haven't seen Seven Psychopaths, admittedly, but I think I prefer this a little bit over Three Billboards.
Okay.
But it's a lot of fun, if nothing else.
Hmm.
Watch after that. Something I missed at the start of the year. Insidious: The Last Key.
All right.
It's okay. I had fun with elements because I like the franchise and I like the lore, but it's maybe the weakest. I kind of got it roughly on par with 2, give or take.
Yeah, I definitely think it's the weakest. I feel like it didn't amount to much. I feel like it was just all there. There's like one notable thing it does do to like sort of continue the franchise potentially for later, but it's
I think its biggest strength is still the campiness and the comic relief that it's had throughout the franchise.
Oh yeah, and obviously I like the mythology and the other or the further rather is what they call it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely the weakest of the 4, I thought.
It is, but I'm still hopeful for the franchise going forward. No reason to worry. What I watched after that, I did The Edge of 17, which is a movie I missed from a couple of years ago. And this is a movie I love, because this is exactly my sort of movie. And yeah. You seen this one?
No.
Have you not? Okay. It's Haley Steinfeld playing a teen who is absolutely awful. She's an atrocious person, and the whole point is she becomes a bit better by the end. And it's Woody Harrelson as her teacher, who is a dick but is amazing. It's a lot of fun. You'd enjoy this movie, I think.
Okay. It was something I meant to get to when it came out, and I just kind of...
You missed it. Yeah. No, I'm with you. But I've said before, I'm a sucker for these coming-of-age movies, and this really just nails that spot for me.
We didn't do a catch-up month last year. Maybe I got into it if had we made the effort.
Yeah, it's one of those ones, isn't it?
All right, you done?
Oh, no, couple more.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Couple more. Another Netflix one. One of the recent ones I think we covered a trailer for as well. Roxanne. This is a biopic of the rapper. It's okay. It's pretty standard biopic fare. Nothing special. But if you're interested, you won't miss out too much.
This was going to clock in at the second shortest of all time, and you are single-handedly pushing it.
I'm going through them quickly. Something I thought this is what I do as well is Risen. Now I don't know if you've seen this one. I mean, I assume you haven't, but you're familiar with what this one is.
Is this a biblical movie?
It is a biblical movie from the director of Waterworld. Now,
why did you watch this?
Because it's nearly Easter, and I thought this might put me to sleep. It didn't. It was worth a try. Here's
This
the
looked
thing.
terrible. Oh my
No. Here's
god.
the thing. The first two-thirds of this movie I really like. So the first two, the premise is okay. It opens with the crucifixion of Jesus and whatnot, and then he gets put in the tomb, and then the body goes missing. And this follows from the Romans' perspective the investigation into what's gone on. Has he really risen from the dead, or has he been stolen by his followers? And they're it's all this murder mystery sort of stuff. That's half of it, or two-thirds, is really quite good. And then it starts giving answers to the mystery, and it gets really preachy. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm out. Which is a shame because it kind of ruins its premise. If it had gone just not been definitive either way and just been like, oh, what, we don't know, this is the mystery, I think I would have been really into it. But ultimately, it lost me.
I'm good.
Yeah, don't bother. And then just the last things I mentioned, I did double these up. I started working through some of the Lego DC movies because a friend recommended them. There was a new one out this week, I think, and I said, "Oh, can I watch this one?" He goes, "Yeah, you can probably just jump in, but you know what I'm like. I'll go back and watch them all." So I watched Justice League versus Bizarro League and Justice League Attack of the Legion of Doom. These are shockingly good, surprisingly witty, in the very funny movies. Some good cast. You got Mark Hamill in the first one doing not Joker, but he's doing Trickster and Sinestro. They play off they do obviously New 52 costume changes into the second one, and they play it off as all these jokes, and it gets quite meta. They go to Area 52, and it's like, yeah, no, it's not Area 51. We got a new one because it's the New 52. The Bizarro League one's probably the better of the two. It's a tighter movie. It's a lot shorter, but it really plays with the opposites gang, and it has a lot of fun with that premise. And if you're a DC fan, there's fun to be had in these for sure. I wouldn't recommend them for just anyone though. But now I'm done.
Good. Jesus Christ. All right, so that
Sorry, I watched a lot of movies. I didn't watch much in the first half of the month, and I had to catch up.
Wraps up the goddamn show. Outside of just telling you what's coming up review wise, or what went up review wise, this past week. So. Streams after midnight. Me and Tim did the Patreon vote winner for the month, which was Audition, the Japanese movie Takeshi Miike. Very good film. So we had fun talking about that. Me and Matt, of course, did Pacific Rim Uprising end of last weekend. So you can get the review for that up. So that's pretty cool. We also did a DC animated movie ourselves, actually, this week. Suicide Squad Hell to Pay, which is kind of a bit of a tradition. Whenever they do another direct-to-video animated movie, we'll check it out and have a talk about it.
We'll probably be back next month for the next one.
They tend to be shorter reviews, though. Typically I'm so used to us going 40 minutes, 50 minutes on a movie. These tend to be about 25 because there's not typically a lot to talk about. But that was there, so you can check out that. And that is pretty much it. The overload for the month will be already up on Patreon by the time this is up. At the time of recording, it's going up tomorrow. But
yeah, what was the influx?
The influx for Patreon this week,
and the public, I guess. What did they get?
Oh well, the last one they got publicly was no, because I'm confused because by the time this goes up,
they'll have got this week's one, yes, which is why I can't see it because I can't remember what it is.
Predator,
yes.
Yes, Predator's going up for the public influx, or will be up for the public as of yesterday. And the patrons yesterday would have gotten The Man from London, which, if you remember, we did because I won the Oscar predictions numbers. So, yes. So that's got for the patrons. And I think that's all the movie reviews that we can tell you about. Yes. Okay. Cool. So with that said...
I mean, we also, coming up, you got Ready Player One this week, right?
Yeah, yeah, we're doing that. Me and Matt are doing that, yeah. So... but that's the show. That is the news. That is everything we can talk about this week. I'm really tired. If I'm just stumbling through this outro, I'm just I'm
pretty sure he hates me right now for watching so many movies this week.
I have to wait an extra 10 minutes for this idiot to talk about stupid Lego movies and Risen movies about Easter and
Hey, just wait till what I pick next week. I've got. Oh, it's actually Easter this week. Let's see what I watch.
Nah, I'm banning Easter movies next week. Not happening. Even if you talk about them, I'm cutting them out. So that has been movie news.
That's religious persecution.
Nah, it's rescuing me from my boredom.
You still have to hear it either way.
I'm rescuing the audience from the boredom. So that is 1.21 movie news. Let us know what you think of the news stories that came up this week. Let us know what your favourite trailer of the week is, all the usual stuff. Like, subscribe, get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. You can get a link in the description. And of course, remember, this was recorded a day earlier than usual, and it's gone up early Saturday. Because of that, if there has been some huge movie news on Friday that we didn't talk about, don't worry, it'll be coming next week. We recorded that before that. So that is us. So thank you once again for watching and or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching movies, guys, and we'll see you next time.